Hi guys, thanks for watching. This is the second episode of the Eddie series, and in this video I'm going to be showing the process of ripping out all the items inside the trailer. It's going to be a slow process. I'm going to take my time. I'm going to try to repurpose and reuse items if I can, but for the most part I believe a lot of it's going to go to the dump, insulation, the paneling. There's really not a lot I anticipate in reusing. So let's go and let's see how the process goes and see what we're left with when it's all said and done. This is just fiberboard. Not going to reuse this at all. It's in the way, so it's one of the first things I'm going to get out of here. This is exactly the condition the trailer came in when I got it. And my wife thought that this owl candle was pretty cool, so we're going to keep that. And when the trailer's all done, you're going to see that candle holder somewhere in the trailer. There's some screws that are just stripped. I can't find some, so I want to get that top cabinet down. And I wanted to save it in one piece, but I'm no longer interested in that, so it's coming down now. Hornet's nest. That's the floor where the propane line runs through to underneath the trailer. Okay, so now I'm under the trailer. That is the refrigerator gas line running through the bottom floor of the trailer, and then you can see the frame. You can see how it runs. It connects to this main supply. And then if you follow that maybe down a little further, that's where I'm assuming that is the supply for the stovetop. So that's just this supply line that runs along the bottom of the frame, runs to the tongue and to a flexible line, and that's where the propane tank would be. But we're not going to be using that, so I'm just going to cut that off and get the refrigerator out of here. So one of the things I discovered with trailer construction back in the 70s, and for all I know, maybe this is the way they still do it, but I'm shocked to see that this wall was constructed first and the paneling was put on, and then they must attach the back wall to it, because the paneling is actually sandwiched between the two frame parts. So yeah, the wall was actually paneled, and then this back wall was placed on it and tacked on top of the paneling. So I'm not going to be able to just pull the paneling out like I wanted to, and I'm going to actually have pieces of paneling between the frame that I'm going to have to live with, because the whole idea of having this was, you know, at least having a strong frame to work with, and for the most part the frame looks like it's in pretty good shape, so I'm happy with that. But I am surprised that they just tacked right over the paneling. But again, this is part of the experience of doing this, right? So I want to get rid of the insulation just to clean things up as much as I can. But another thing that I've learned is that they built the frame and then they put the insulation over top of the wooden frame on the outside of it, and then they screwed the metal aluminum on top of the insulation. So all that means is that I can't just pull it out, because it's actually tucked between the wood and the aluminum. So what I'm doing is I'm just cutting along the frame here, and as I'm running my utility knife along the bottoms and tops of these sections, and this just pulls out. But the insulation is still, you can see the insulation behind the wooden frame. But I've pretty much decided at this point I'm replacing the aluminum on the outside as well. So really I'm going to be gutting this down just to the bare bones, the wooden frame and some other things. But it's been fun. I've been learning a lot by watching how these things are built, and seeing the thought process and what goes on to build one of these. It's weird to think that you know, 45 years ago this thing was put together in some factory. Well, they made a 2x8 platform for that porta toilet, and I've just then screwed the screws from this piece of plywood here, and that's covering what I can only imagine is a some sort of black tank for the toilet that was there before. I'm not really looking forward to taking that apart. Date of manufacturing, May 10th, 76. fiber tile sandwiched between the wooden frame of the roof and the wooden frame of the walls, which is not ideal, which means I'm going to have to, I don't know, take all that out. I don't like that. I want wood on wood, not this fiber tile between there. Well, the floor here is certainly rotted. I could probably put my hand right through the floor right here. I'll show you. So as I continue to strip the interior of Eddie, I'm leaving the paneling on this wall here and this wall here, and I use the term wall loosely, but it is giving it some stability. So I just feel that if I take this off, there's really not a whole lot holding the frame together once I strip it completely. It's in such bad shape. So this little bit of wall structure here will actually kind of provide a little bit of a bit of a foundation anyway. So that's why I'm leaving the paneling on here and this paneling on here, because I still am going to use this room, or this location anyways, as a room. It's going to be like a closet, bathroom, shower sort of multi-use area. But I just wanted to take a minute and explain that. That's why I'm leaving this here, and I'm going to complete the rest of the demolition inside here and get all this paneling and insulation off, and then I'll have nothing left. I'm going to get rid of this second little bed here, but the battery and the wiring is all under here, so I'm going to have to deal with that now. Okay, that's going to wrap up this video. I hope you enjoyed it. It was really fun doing. I really enjoyed the experience of ripping apart the trailer, seeing how it's built. I knew going into this that it was in very bad shape, and I've confirmed by tearing it apart that it indeed is in terrible condition. The floor is particularly bad, and the only really usable part of the whole thing is basically the wooden frame, and that, I knew that going into it. That was kind of why I bought it. I wanted a template to work from. I wasn't confident enough that I could build a trailer from scratch, and I thought this would be fun and fairly inexpensive. So far it's just been my time and effort to get to this point. We're down inside to pretty much just the frame, all the insulation's out, the wiring's still here. So the next step will be disconnecting the actual camper part from the metal frame underneath. I'm going to prop it up and remove the metal trailer from underneath. I'm going to bring that somewhere. I'm not a welder, so I'm going to bring that somewhere and either get it repaired or most likely completely remade. We'll see. That'll be another video. But the next video will probably be the process of actually getting this off of the frame, because I do think that that's going to be very tricky. I've looked around, and the wooden frame that sits on it seems to sit on the plywood, which is all rotten, and it's going to be a lot of work and a big challenge. And quite frankly, I can honestly see at this point, I really have no idea how I'm going to do it. I just know that I'm going to be able to do it. And once I get this lifted off and propped up on a nice frame, the trailer is going to be set off and doing its thing, and I'll start working on getting the wiring out of here and some other things. So I hope you enjoyed the series. If you did, I'd really like to have you along. And if you have experienced something like this, where you've had to do a similar repair to a trailer, or any advice you may have in any future part of this process, please leave me a message. I'd love to hear from you, and I'm really excited about this. I've gotten a lot of nice comments, and people seem to be excited about the Eddie build, so please don't hesitate to leave a message. I love reading them. So we're off, and we'll see you in the next video, episode 3. Thanks. Cheers.